Yeah, this video is about hating Tatum. Enjoy.
I'm sorry to hear that, but I'm ready to fuck.
Jayson Tatum fucked me already.
Jayson Tatum fucked me already. Jayson Tatum fucked me already.
I swear to God, I've seen so many posts talking about Jayson Tatum is the only guy who won a championship and his legacy got worse.
I'm telling you right now, over the last 2 years, it actually has been so easy to hate on this dude. Do I feel bad? Not really. Okay, low-key part of me does, but yeah, that's not the point. In this video, I'll crack a few jokes here and there, but really what it's about is me trying to explain why people hate him so much, and how, yes, a lot of people do think his legacy got worse after winning a championship, which is paradoxical, I get it. A lot of this obviously could be expressed through memes, and we'll get into some of those. Some of them have some truths in them, and some of them, quite frankly, are just foolish. If you're a Tatum or a Jaylen Brown or a Celtics fan, you might not enjoy this video, or you might, who knows. But now, enough with the pre-game talk, let's actually get into the meats and potatoes of this. What a lot of people will tell you is they only recently started hating on Jayson Tatum. Did some people hate him at Duke? I mean, maybe. Some people might have. But when he got drafted, I don't think people really cared too much. It was just like, oh, he's a third overall pick. Let's see what he could do for the Celtics.
A lot of emotions, and I know this is special for you because your mom, Brandy, was one of the first people you hugged.
One key thing that a lot of Tatum fans and a lot of Celtics fans say is, why do people hate Tatum? He has a great story. His mother is a great story. And that's them not understanding that people are not hating him because of this. Okay, as a matter of fact, they don't even know about this most likely. This man, Jayson Tatum, he was raised by his mother, who was a single mother, really. And this part of the story is really heartwarming. The issue lies further out in his career. Okay, we'll get more into that. Now, one thing that the haters will bring up is that Jayson Tatum was drafted to a team that was in the conference finals the same year. That, to me, is absolutely hilarious. And I know, is it JT's fault that he was gifted a great team to start off his career as a third overall pick? Not really. The Celtics just managed to outsmart the Nets in every facet of imagination, making them trade for carcasses and really getting some of their very valuable picks in return. Man, it's as if the Celtics could do no wrong at this point. Even when they're rebuilding, they somehow get lucky and are able to find it's just a dumb front office to really pick on here. So, okay, yeah, it's not Jayson Tatum's fault that he was gifted such a great situation right off the bat, right? Obviously, there also wasn't much to hate on him for, right? He was obviously named all-rookie first team. I don't think people hated him back then, and really, there wasn't really a reason to hate him, right? That's the thing. He did not get hated on until recently. As a matter of fact, after making the conference finals for the second straight year, that highlight dunk right here in a game 7, I think, yeah, this was a big play. People actually started liking him even more because he dunked on LeBron James. One of the few times you could legitimately say the king got dunked on, and it was by a rookie. So of course he's gonna get praised for that, and deservedly so. Now the Celtics, they ended up losing this game 7, but really nobody cared because a lot of the players were young. Okay, they didn't really have that much experience, not to mention the fact that their best player, supposedly Kyrie Irving, didn't even play a single playoff game. So really, in a way, they weren't even supposed to be here. It was instead the kid from Akron who was supposed to be here. And you can't even hate on Tatum for being part of that Celtics team that did Isaiah Thomas dirty. He got traded for Kyrie the same offseason he got drafted. I mean, look, man. The #1 enemy in Boston at this point was not anybody else but Kyrie Irving, okay? As I've illustrated in my main channel talking about Kyrie Irving, please do subscribe if you like that channel too. Much of his leadership skills, much of his, qualities as the best player of a franchise were in question. And because of this, the team suffered as a result. So them losing in disappointing fashion in the second round was really blamed on Kyrie Irving.
If I'm Jayson Tatum, I'm looking at ways to improve my game. I'm really good at posting up. I'm really good in isolation. I'm really good.
This is where we get to an important part of Jayson Tatum's story, okay? His adoration of Kobe Bryant, obviously, his admiration. I'm a big Kobe fan myself, so I understand it. But you would see at times the media start picking at Tatum for liking Kobe and really emulating much of his game after him.
Everybody knows Kobe Bryant's my favorite player. I just remember watching him on the TV and, just knowing I want to be just like him.
Well, Tatum, during the 2018 offseason, got to work out with Kobe, and obviously that was a talking point in much of the media in the 2019 to 2020 season, talking about how apparently he was getting some negative influence from Kobe Bryant. ESPN ran a story around this time. Tim Bontemps is the author of it, right? The article, and I'm not joking, it's called "The Dekobeing of Jayson Tatum Has Begun." What in the actual fuck is this? So Jayson Tatum saw sophomore year, obviously, he didn't perform as well as he did in his rookie year. And a lot of people attributed that to his shot diet being very poor. Also, amongst the 96 players who had at least 100 direct isolations last season, apparently Jayson Tatum ranked dead last in efficiency with an average of 0.70 points per play. Oh boy. And I think the media might have seen this quote from Tatum saying he's focusing on getting to the basket much more, shoot more threes and layups and free throws, and said, oh, he's trying to be less like Kobe Bryant. But then Tatum, after a game, said, no, I'm still going to shoot the mid-range. I seen all the people talk about the de-Kobeing. No, Kobe didn't teach me anything bad. Everything we talked about and he showed me was great. So around this point, you had the media mostly trying to basically run this story of how, you know, Kobe may have been a negative influence. And not surprisingly, this story got quieted down way more after the fact that Kobe died months later. Obviously, you can't run a story like that around the bubble talking about Kobe's influence after that fact, right? In the bubble against my Raptors, sadly, he joined Kobe Bryant as the second youngest player to record 25 points, 10 plus rebounds, 5 plus assists in the Game 7. He truly was all worldly at this point, and he was getting a lot of praise from the media and folks alike because he made the conference finals in the bubble in 2020. The reason why I'm talking about this is because I'm getting into the first key point of why people are hating on this guy. The first key moment that really allowed people to start espousing these opinions.
Tatum, he grew up idolizing Kobe Bryant. Remember, he wore a purple and gold number 24 armband in Game 7.
We are fast forwarding 2 years, actually, skipping the 2021 playoffs entirely, where Kobe Bryant was apparently being honored by Jayson Tatum in the Game 7 against Miami Heat, a game that obviously clinched the Celtics to the NBA Finals.
That was my idol. That was my, inspiration. That was my favorite player. The shoes I wore, or been wearing the last couple games, were, dedicated to him. And today, before I took my nap, I was watching, some film, and some moments from him in his career.
Dick Rider! Dick Rider! Dick Rider! Dick Rider!
But Jayson Tatum did something way worse. Something that was so corny that it even makes some of the sound effects I use look tame.
You can see the image there. I got you is what he texted Kobe Bryant's number.
Why is Jayson Tatum texting that to a man that is deceased now for over 2 years? That was the question that many people had in their minds, because this just doesn't seem right. Now, most of the YouTube comments weren't really mad about it, right? At the time, it was like, oh, interesting. One guy said texting dead people, creepy, right? Obviously, you had those people, obviously talking about the Celtics and Lakers rivalry and how, a Celtics player is representing a Lakers legend, so that's interesting. But you had more and more people saying stuff like, that text was whack as hell, don't care what nobody says, and he's using Kobe's name to elevate his stock and market. Interesting. And that's where this meme comes in. A lot of people, thinking that he's using Kobe's name or likeness for clout, when really it's just him, honoring his favorite player, really. I mean, in 2021, he had a tattoo, right, number 24 in snake form, right? He was honoring Kobe long before this text message. Even though tons of regular people were doing the same thing around the time when Kobe passed away, they were honoring him with multiple tattoos, right? And Anthony Davis even did the same thing. Kobe was an icon, right? He's just some regular player. Like, what are we doing here? But people hate him partly because he's trying to basically, use up Kobe's name or whatever. People were saying Tatum is corny, but AD did the same thing and nobody calls him corny. Instead, they call him street clothes. But basically what I'm saying is there's more to this than just people hating on him because he honors Kobe too much. Like, okay, wearing a Lakers 24 jersey, that's overdoing it at this point. Like, okay, bro, I get it, you love Kobe. And that's why I prefaced it by saying this is the first key point.
Thompson picks him up. Tatum from downtown misses. Tatum one-on-one with Klay Thompson. Backs in. Wild. Tatum drives left-handed, comes up short.
Jayson Tatum had an all-time bad series when it came to the 2022 finals. Oh boy. One of the biggest indictments to his game here was his finishing. Just an all-time awful finishing from Tatum in this finals. This Reddit post highlighting some of his splits, averaging less than 22 points and shooting less than 50% true shooting, almost 4 turnovers per game. Awful splits. He's shooting 45% from the free-throw line, yet shot less than 37% overall from the field. Amongst players that obviously took the most field goals less than 5 feet away from the basket, right, against the Warriors in the 2022 playoffs. Jayson Tatum by far has the worst percentage. 47.6%. From 5 to 9 feet, he doesn't have the touch. 29%. And obviously, it gets worse as he goes further outside the field. I don't know how he shot 45% from 3 in that series. That shit was crazy.
Jaylen underappreciated Brown, who was the best player in the NBA Finals for the Boston Celtics. I tell you that damn much. He didn't disappear when it got tough. He didn't hide. He was a leader. He talked his talk and backed it up, and he's still standing there.
This was a common narrative around 2022, right? And I think people will still argue to this day that during that finals, that Jaylen Brown was the better player in those finals, right? He did average more points than Jayson Tatum did in the finals, and he looked like the better player in crunch time. But Kendrick Perkins is a guy that has argued long before this. He was one of the people speculating, you know, oh, Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're not looking so good together. Let's break them up. And this was a narrative that obviously got pushed a lot during, you know, late 2021, early 2022 when the Celtics were struggling. But Perk is the same guy that recently said in the show, right, in May of 2024, that Jaylen Brown was the best player in the Celtics in the conference finals.
Two, that Jaylen Brown is the best player on the team. He's the best player on the team. He's been the best player in this postseason.
And I'm not saying I disagree. I'm saying a lot of people feel this way, and Perk is one of these people pushing that narrative in the media. So part of the hate was also seeing how Jayson Tatum was underperforming in the finals, and some people were lifting up Jaylen Brown. And another thing that I think needs to be mentioned is how there was a large group of people that were questioning whether or not this guy is actually a superstar in the first place.
I'm a stickler when it comes to the superstar. I don't think
yes,
that there. I think that it's like very, very rare air, and so there's a whole bunch of players that are knocking on the door of superstardom. But to me, you have to check off the box of not only your play, which I think, by the way, Jason, that's where it comes from. That's when you started to get this sentiment. It's because you are playing, sir, like a superstar. So
there was a whole argument on NBA Today during the finals about whether or not Jayson Tatum was a superstar, and that was prompted by Jayson Tatum himself talking about this like unprovoked. I feel like he just mentioned it out of the blue.
I'm wondering, what is the finals experience and this whole run been like as a superstar player?
Never mind. Okay, the guy mentioned that, and I think Tatum, that's where he started reacting and said, did I ever say this?
A lot of people want to debate. I guess you just comment about the superstar, whatever that means, right? I'm sure that I've seen it as a huge debate. Is he a superstar? Is he not? I want to know where that came from. Like, did I tweet that? Did I ever say that I'm a superstar, or I'm on the verge? Like, that never came from me, but it has been a big deal this last year and a half or 2 years, and I see it all the time.
And of course, that led to people debating about this topic, whether or not Jayson Tatum actually is a superstar.
it's butts and seats. It's casual fan appreciation. I think all of that goes into superstar, which for me is why it's like Steph, LeBron, Kevin Durant, Giannis, and Nikola Jokic knocking on that door. And then to me, it's like
Embiid's not a superstar?
Embiid's a superstar.
Both Shanae and Malika were like, I don't know if I'll give Jayson Tatum the superstar or not, right?
Stardom talk.
I agree with your phrasing in that he is knocking on the door, and a lot of times superstardom is won in moments. And so if you're able to bring the Celtics to an NBA Finals and win a championship, then people will probably say he has arrived.
And I think Zach Lowe, who was sitting right next to Malika, he was like, what? Wait, Jayson Tatum, not a superstar. He's knocking on the door.
What are we doing here? Like, what's going on? Like, Jayson Tatum was first team All-NBA. He's the best player on the finals team. He scored 47 points against the Milwaukee Bucks on the road.
Thank you.
With their season on the line. I don't know what the rubric is for superstar. I need a spreadsheet for all your different categories. Jayson Tatum's a superstar. He's not knocking on the door. Knocking on the door? Then they're like, oh, please let me in. Jayson Tatum has the key to the door. He's a top 10 player in the NBA. He's a superstar. Done. They're in the finals 1-1. What are we doing? What's happening here?
I'm with Zach.
Treat me like what is. Don't get me dirty.
It's so interesting looking at the dynamic between Tatum's accomplishments, his accolade, him being a first-team All-NBA player not only in 2022, right, but he's also first-team All-NBA in 2023. And in 2023, this guy, him and JB balled out, but especially JT. JT had a phenomenal season. Tatum became the first Celtic in franchise history to average 30 or more points per game in a season. No other Celtic, not even Paul Pierce, not even Kevin Garnett, not even Larry Bird, none of these guys did it before he did.
16 points
in that fourth quarter. How do you describe the confidence you had to trust yourself down the stretch?
I'm humbly one of the best basketball players in the world.
But the one thing that was missing was obviously that championship, that milestone that a lot of legends hit.
Do you believe the Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown duo can still win a title together?
After losing to the Heat in very embarrassing fashion, to be quite frank. It was actually pretty embarrassing. After game 3, okay, the number 2 seed Celtics were down 0-3 against the Miami Heat. And to be fair, it was both Jays catching the Heat around this point. It just looked like the team gave up, really. But you could clearly see here the weaknesses that the Celtics had. And regardless of the stats they put up, right? Regardless of the fact that he scored 51 points in the game 7, the series before that, losing to an 8th seed was just an all-time embarrassing L. Now you could say, look, the whole East lost against these guys. The Knicks, the Bucks lost against them in the first round as the number 1 seed. But we're talking about Giannis that was hurt throughout the series, right? Now you could argue, oh, they would have won the game 7, the Celtics, if Jayson Tatum didn't twist his ankle on the first play of the game here. Oh boy. But as you'll soon learn, haters ignore context whenever it's convenient to do so. But now there's increasing pressures on the Celtics. That's the name of the game. You got to get better from here on out because you're a laughing stock of the league. You're a team that always achieves a playoff spot, a big top position, but you never win in the big moments. You never clinch that championship. And after a rather wild offseason that saw the Celtics actually get 2 key players in Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis into their rotation, this would be a Celtics team that actually had some very lethal star power, which is where this unfortunate narrative began to fester about Tatum and how he's in a super team and how he's being carried by the super team.
I mean, that's the narrative that you might see on TV. The idea that we have a super team. It's twofold, right? We didn't have the coach of the year. We didn't have the MVP. We only had 2 All-Stars. So they say we're a super team, but, you know, we didn't get rewarded like we are.
This man Tatum gave Twitter the ultimate ammo it had to diss and just diss him and just diss him. That's one thing that he would keep doing to himself. Like when he said that he's one of the humbly best players in the world, right? He did show out in that game 6 and was the key reason they won that series ultimately. But again, him saying stuff like this, obviously he's gonna get the haters talking, right? And I think the NBA players, they know this. And he was probably like, you know, let the haters talk, man. This is what I believe. I don't care. And if that's it, and if that's what it is, fair enough. And no matter how much Celtics fans shout out sideline film, no matter how much y'all try to, you know, defend him and say, oh, the super team, it's a myth, okay? A big reason why people say this and people, you know, insist on dissing him is partly because Jayson Tatum keeps talking about this stuff. He keeps bringing it up in the ether. Not just that, Jayson Tatum would have horrific, stinky performances, right? Shoots 4-17, but don't you worry, folks. They'd win by 9 points. Oh, no. Like, games like this are way too normal, bro. They blow the team out by 25, and this guy has 18 points. 18 on 19 shots is actually nasty, bro. By the way, this was during the playoffs against the Cavaliers. This guy could put up minimal stats regularly, and the team be up 10 points plus. That was the big talking point around Tatum, right? A lot of people were just like, yo, this guy, he can do the least and still be able to win games comfortably. And this was proven by even how the Celtics bench, have a high net rating when they play on the court. The fact that the only teams that have a higher net rating throughout the season than the Celtics in history are the Dynasty Warriors and Bulls is actually, to me, crazy. And so seeing like 6 Celtics in the top 10 net rating for individual players, I mean, it does seem like, you know, these guys are getting carried by each other in a way. But we gotta stop this. Jayson Tatum's the best player on the team. Are we sure about that, folks? Are we really sure about that? The haters will tell you, well, Jayson Tatum didn't win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP this year. He may have won it in 2022, but he didn't win it this year. Even Jaylen Brown was like, I wasn't expecting it. I never win stuff. I think he might have expected the Finals MVP, though. I'm not gonna lie. That's him winning both the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and the Finals MVP gave fans that hate Tatum the biggest ammo they can get, bro. It's why people like Kendrick Perkins are like, yeah, Jaylen Brown is the best player. I mean, look, he got the accolades, he got the Finals MVP. Even a guy like Jason Kidd was trying to pit the Jays against each other during the finals.
Well, Jaylen's the best player.
Unsurprisingly, that's going to get a lot of people talking as well. Hey, man, you're going to have to forever refer to Jaylen Brown as a Finals MVP winner. And don't get me started on Jayson Tatum's quotes here. He has a few quotes that were viral after the finals.
What's it feel like to finally be a champion?
It's a surreal feeling. We did it. We did it!
We did it, Tatum. We did it. You're going to be an NBA champion.
We did it! We did it! We did it! Yay! Always team up. We did it!
I underperformed to my standards and still get rewarded. We did it. We did it. We did it. Yeah!
Oh my God, we did it!
I know everybody will wonder what would happen if we didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
No, stop. This level of corniness cannot be contained. It's too much. It's too much for my sanity. I'm going crazy. And obviously, you know, they had the Jordan commercial after he won the championship. They probably expected him to win Finals MVP, so it didn't age as well. And I'm not going to talk about the whole benching situation in the Olympics more, because not only have I, touched on it a little bit in this video here on my second channel, but even Lowe, Legend of Winning, touched on his second, third, I don't know, his other channel. And I agree with his points, right? He struggled shooting the ball in the playoff, and that obviously made him look bad.
I feel like, personally, a vast majority of the NBA community views Jayson Tatum as a top 5 to top 11 player. And when I say top 5, I'm not...
Nope. And a lot of people, right, they look at Tatum and say, maybe, oh, he's a top 5 player still. Not so much. Him getting benched in the Olympics, if anything, just tore down his image even more, made him more hated. And obviously, this is why we say that after winning a championship, his legacy is worse now. It's paradoxical. I get it. Again, I'll say this for the last time. Tatum partly did this to himself, but also there is context that is being ignored actively by the haters because they love to hate.